Item number 16 is fiscal year 2014-15 Fire Department purchasing through L.N. Curtis and Sons. Chief.
Good evening, Mayor Gill, members of the council. I brought my right-hand man with me tonight to help explain some of the more details. He's better at that than I am, but let me give you a quick overview. Yuba City Fire Department, on June 24th, the city's accounting manager brought a staff report to the city council that annually reports all known purchases that will exceed $50,000 in the upcoming fiscal year. City council requested the fire department portion of the report to be removed, and the fire department was requested to prepare a following staff report detailing its sole source purchasing through Ellen Curtis. As I said, I'll let Bill Fuller talk about that because he generates and handles most of our grants and most of our purchases. But just real quickly to kind of give you a quick summary, the reason we like to have Ellen Curtis on that list is in case we do make purchases over $50,000. But it does not happen that often. It happens occasionally. And the best example I can give you is that over the last 4 years, when we checked our Panamation report, last fiscal year we spent $12,000 roughly with Ellen Curtis. The year before that we spent $42,000 roughly, and the year before that, 2011, we spent a little over $30,000. The last time we spent over $50,000 with Ellen Curtis was in the year 2010. We spent $101,000. I'm going to assume that probably the majority of that was grant money, and also I'm going to make an assumption that it was probably large purchase items because that's when we jump over that $50,000 when we spend money on things that are proprietary and that only Ellen Curtis can sell. Like turnouts and that type of thing. So with that, to kind of give you an idea of what we spent over the last 4 years, I'll turn it over to Bill now.
Mayor Gill and members of the council, Councilman Buckland raised some questions at the last meeting, and we put together a little handout, I think you have it, related to the types of things that we currently are purchasing. I think there's some confusion on my part. The staff report that the finance department talked about was citywide reoccurring purchases. I put all of our purchases that we go through, anticipated purchases through Ellen Curtis as compared to sole source. Currently, we have 3 sole source agreements or justifications with Ellen Curtis. One is for turnouts. The other one is for Hearst vehicle extrication equipment. The third one is Bullard thermal imaging cameras. If you go to those manufacturers' website and put in for a distributor in your area, it comes up Ellen Curtis. They actually are the exclusive distributor for Globe turnouts, Hearst extrication equipment, and the Bullard thermal imaging cameras for pretty much everything to the Rocky Mountains west, including Alaska and Hawaii. In the case of the turnouts, there are some regulations or standards that we work with. The National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, has established a 10-year life for turnouts. So during that period of time, we work with them for replacements and everything because we've set a set of specifications based on current safety specifications, materials, and what have you. We've had the current globes for probably 15 years. We've been working with them. Right now, in about year 1, and probably completing the first year of an evaluation of current standards, rewriting our specifications for our turnouts, and taking advantage of some research and field tests that CAL FIRE, LA City, LA County, Orange County, San Diego have completed in the case of turnouts. We've been doing some field tests, wear tests of turnouts right now to come up with a conclusion of which set of turnouts are we going to have for the next generation, next 10 or 15 years. You approved in this current budget $55,000 to get us 33 sets of turnouts. They run about $2,000 each. So we're hoping to come back within probably a month with a recommendation who we would go with. There are only 2 manufacturers. One is Globe. One is a company called Morning Pride. Each of those turnout gear is handled by one company. In the case, Ellen Curtis for Globe. The other one is called MS Fire. The Hearst extrication equipment, our department just went through kind of an evaluation of are we at a point to take a look at a different company. The evaluation was we would stay with Globe. We just recently purchased 2 sets of extrication equipment for the new fire engines that will be coming hopefully within the end of the summer. And thermal imaging cameras, we purchased those about 10 years ago through grant money, and we're in the process of evaluating new thermal imaging cameras that the whole upgrade of technology. There's some new features to them. Most of the fire guys say, give me a button that turns on and turns off and keep it simple, because with gloves and everything else, it's pretty difficult to go to work with those. But we're hoping then to potentially have a change here in the near future. We purchase a lot of stuff from Ellen Curtis. We purchase uniforms, boots and station boots, Shelby gloves, the structure fire gloves, wildland gloves. We handle or purchase things for the hazardous material team, but we purchase those on a competitive bid using the city's purchasing policies and procedures. And as the chief said, the last 4 years, this past year, we were at $12,000. But what we've been doing is holding off our purchases of turnouts, which are going to be expensive. It's about $55,000 for the 33. We'll be coming back for the remainder. The NFPA has a standard in terms of how you bring them into the system and how you have to end it at 10 years, get them out of your system, get them, have them gone. So we're having to get into this whole issue of how are we going to finance those, but also how do we maintain them and how do we track those maintenance issues and keep a good record for any liability issues that come up. I don't know if that answers the kinds of questions you had regarding that. I know the big issue with a lot of them is the exclusive dealerships and distributorships that are established. And it's kind of surprising when you look at the map for each of these manufacturers. Ellen Curtis has a place in Seattle, Los Angeles, Oakland, Salt Lake City, and it just keeps going farther west. So that's kind of what happens with those.
Any questions from council members? Yes.
To the mayor.
Yes.
And I appreciate the extensive explanation that you've made about the purchases. I did do a little bit of research since I asked that question about Ellen and Curtis and Sons, and found out that they have 3 locations in California. Talked to the representatives from Hearst and the exclusivity that they give to Ellen and Curtis and Sons is pretty much through the fire industry or the sales outlets or distributors throughout the United States. So it came as no surprise that they've continued that very same model within California. My only concern was, are we getting the best bang for our buck? Are we able to get competitive bids? And obviously, on especially Hearst equipment, we can't get there. Turnouts, that's a choice of fire service of what turnouts they're going to wear, and whether or not you can get more competitive on that. But I was just looking at some of the larger purchases that are being made. That's all. And I appreciate your explanation.
And actually, when we started looking even at uniforms, we try to go out at a minimum of 3, but we go out 4 or 5 vendors to try to get the best. And even though Ellen Curtis is a major player and can bring the cost down, they have received a number of our bids, but we've been able to work with a lot of other companies. We go down to a company in San Jose, a company in Rockland, and as well as Ellen Curtis to try to get the best price and extend what we have money-wise through the fiscal year.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Through the mayor. You mentioned the Globe, and I forget the name of the other was Morning
Pride.
Morning Pride. We're in the process of evaluating those. Is that so? We're not going to be purchasing turnouts until we finish that evaluation. Is that
exactly?
what
And that's why this past year our numbers were way down to 12,000. We've been looking at. Cal Fire did a major study. There's new materials that are out there. There's issues that they were looking at in terms of radiant heat and heat exhaustion and issues that they were having to look at. And there are a number of fire departments, major departments, participated in that. And what, as it's been explained to us, is once somebody like Cal Fire makes that, comes to some decision as to what they're going to do, it affects all the manufacturers. They're going to adjust themselves. So there's some new materials that are in play, the fabrics that they use, the liners that they use, and that will, what we're looking at now is setting our specifications to that. We've had a committee of the fire department, of firefighters, putting that together, looking at the features that we use currently, from belt loops to different things, to make that a standard. And we've received 2 prices when we've had 2 sets made. We've paid for 2 sets, have given to the firemen and say, try them out. Wear, tear, find out what's going to work. The knees we found aren't the best on some of them, but they're trying not just how it looks, but it's the wear, the movability, and everything else. That, based on price, we'll use that for part of our selection, and we'll come back to you for that piece.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, can I get a motion for this?
I moved to approve.
Okay,
I'll
got a
second.
motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.